Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at game number 2 between KiLLeR and Vile DdoRo. This time we are here on Metalopolis, spawning in the far right position here in the 3 o'clock is KiLLeR as our yellow Zerg player. And then over here in the far left, the 9 o'clock position, we do have DdoRo as the purple Protoss player. And once again, this is game number 2, this time here on Metalopolis. Now, last game, DdoRo unbelievably winning the game. You know, KiLLeR was in a really great position. He had delayed and forced cancellations of DdoRo's expansion 2 or 3 times in a row. But the problem was that DdoRo then faked an expansion, went out with heavy gateway plus his 1 void ray. And with that, he was just able to overwhelm KiLLeR. KiLLeR was not expecting any pressure whatsoever. He had droned up. He was teching up to layer tech. He was upgrading his roaches, everything like that. And then we saw that strong 1-base push with that feigned expansion. And also, this is obviously very notable as well, DdoRo abused force fields, which, you know, kept a bulk of KiLLeR's defense inside of his main base, unable to actually protect his natural expansion. And those two things combined really led to his demise. So very unfortunate situation there for KiLLeR. Again, overall, at the very start of the game, with the delays and the forced cancel of DdoRo's expansions, KiLLeR was in a strong position, but that just goes to show you got to be fully aware of what's going on at all times. And in all honesty, if KiLLeR had some scouting Zerglings right outside of DdoRo's base, then he may have seen that push coming a little bit earlier, and he could have prepared accordingly. But so one of those things, it just kind of happens sometimes. It just goes to show you the power of scouting. And there we go. We got a hatch first right now for KiLLeR, and this could be problematic because, as we can see, DdoRo is going for Forge Fast Expand. So here come the pylons as expected, and actually KiLLeR will just be canceling that, coming down with his spawning pool immediately, deciding, you know what, I don't even want to deal with this crap. I'm just going to cancel the expansion and not even worry about it. Now, it looks like this pylon is still going through for DdoRo, and he's still going to be cannoning. Unbelievably, he is still going for that cannon pressure. So DdoRo will be dropping the cannon here, and KiLLeR's going to have to contend with that, coming down with his workers. He kills off the probe. That was a mistake by DdoRo. He did not have to lose that probe at all. That's going to force him to cancel that cannon there. He's still got the pylon sitting, so DdoRo will know when and if this expansion goes up. And there we go right now. You can see that expansion coming on through. Now we do have an additional probe moving down, and he should be trying to drop some additional cannons here. So this is not over for KiLLeR. He's still going to have to deal with this. And there we go. The Overlord Scout will be spotting that this is coming. So is he going to respond by pulling down some workers? He best. He's got a couple Zerglings coming out, which will help tremendously. But we have got that cannon pressure coming. I'm fully expecting DdoRo to drop it. And there we go. At least the 1 cannon. Let's see how many more he tries to come out with right now. He could protect the cannon with another cannon, which would make it impossible to get a full surround on this. I'm guessing that's what he is going to do. So here we go. A couple of Zerglings coming down. That cannon 50% of the way finished. And there's the other cannon to protect the first one. Zergling's going to start working on this, and DdoRo with this cannon harass, this looks to be pretty successful in all honesty. This cannon will complete right now, and that may very well allow this cannon to complete too, and there we go. DdoRo getting 2 cannons in. And what is KiLLeR going to do? In all honesty, he should be canceling this. Now, one thing to keep in mind is, since DdoRo has spent a lot of resources over here, there we go, he actually canceled that second cannon there. Wow, and he's going to be losing this to his spine on the high ground. There we go, I completely missed it, but KiLLeR responding accordingly because of this pylon and cannon being right within range of a spine crawler. Perfect positioning by that, allowing him to poke those 2 down, and there we go. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that DdoRo may be a little bit vulnerable to some counter early aggression here from KiLLeR. Let's see what he is able to do, losing 2 Zerglings right there, walking right into the cannon. Yeah, man, that's some miss micro again. I'm seeing both players, unfortunately, making some pretty hefty micro mistakes. In all honesty, that's just one of those things. You spot the cannon, and you expect at the professional level of play to get that pulled back immediately. But losing, KiLLeR asking why so cheesy, and we're gonna actually be seeing KiLLeR respond by a third now. Do keep in mind he was set behind, obviously, by that cannon harass. Yes, DdoRo lost some resources, but economically, KiLLeR was set behind definitely a little bit there, just having to contend with that, delaying his expansion, forcing him to stay in 1 base for a little bit longer. This little conversation between these guys is pretty hilarious. So, anyways, we are seeing KiLLeR moving to his 3rd expansion. He's going to be trying to make up and get himself that economic advantage, if at all possible, especially given the fact that he knows right now DdoRo is on 2 bases as a Zerg player. You don't really want to be on the same number of bases as a Protoss or Terran opponent, so trying to make sure that he at least gets that 1 base advantage. Going to give him that extra larva, that stronger economy to let him contend with a 2 base Protoss player. So we will have to keep an eye on DdoRo and see precisely what he's going to be going for. Nothing too telling as of yet. He just got a cybernetics core in, has started that warp gate research right now. We just want to take a look at the next few production buildings. Is he going to go straight for a robo, try to get an observer, maybe work his way up to Colossus? Is he going to go for a Stargate and try to get some air harass going, Void Rays, Phoenixes, anything like that? Or will he just be going gateway heavy? Now I'm going to actually assume that he will be at least going somewhat gateway heavy, given the fact that he's got those level 1 weapons upgrades coming out. And there's a Twilight Council, so we may very well be seeing heavy blink stalkers here. Now I don't expect like a 7 gate, just because if he's going for the Twilight Council as well, it'll make it so they can't afford that many. Maybe a 5 or 6 gate though. We will have to wait and see though precisely what DdoRo decides to go for. Back over here for KiLLeR, working on saturation on that third. What big thing that we do need him to do this game is get that nice solid scouting. Loving the Zergling. Scout it out right here. Couple Zerglings at these towers. Certainly not a bad idea, and I actually really hope that he does do that. Let's just pretend for a moment that we had a Stargate follow-up and we just had a Void Ray sent clear across the map. You wouldn't see that unless you had those towers. So there we go. KiLLeR doing the right thing here, being nice and proper, grabbing those towers and giving himself as much vision as possible. In fact, let's just take a look here at KiLLeR vision, see what he can see. You see that with Overlord spread, grabbing those towers and having a scouting Zergling. You can see pretty much everything that's going on, and that's exactly the kind of thing you want to do. In fact, it looks like he's going to use an additional Zergling over here to probably scout out these additional expansions, just in case DdoRo decided to go for a quick third. He does want to be aware of that. Now take a look at this. I was incorrect about those Blink Stalkers. Looks like we're seeing a Dark Shrine, so some quick DT here from DdoRo. Here's the Scouting Overlord. Now he will be seeing Gateway Heavy, but I don't think he's going to be able to catch that Dark Shrine there. Definitely not going to make it in time. Those sentries will be shooting him out of the sky far before he gets anywhere near there. Now what exactly are we seeing DKiLLeR do? We are seeing Roach Hydra. Looks to be the case here for DKiLLeR. Let's get that Roach speed as well as that Hydra range coming through. Again, he is on that third, sitting nice and saturated over there. No extractors, just sticking with the Vespene that he's got from these first 2 bases here. Finally starting the Roach and Hydra production, but again, coming out with lots and lots of upgrades. Also getting that metabolic boost for those speedlings. So again, DKiLLeR has not spotted out this Dark Shrine. He should be okay against it. To be perfectly honest though, he has his layer up, so all he needs to do is make an Overseer, and he's going to be all set to defend against that. Would really like a Spore or 2 at these bases, but he's not doing that yet because, well, he's not sure that those DT are coming. But here we go. 3 DT. They will be fanning out. That is a nice, that's a phrase of mine that I evidently like a lot. Fanning out's just a pretty cool term in all honesty. So anyways, yes, DT fanning out across all 3 bases. It looks like we'll be sending 1 DT to each and every base that we are seeing DKiLLeR with right now. And what this will do is it'll force DKiLLeR to pick 1 at a time unless he comes out with a few Overseers. But here we go. Here comes the DT harass already working on that economy, forcing the drones and everything off the line. And we've got that one over there as well. So forced to get, what's he doing? He's getting like a full surround finally there, coming with the Overseer. He's keeping all his units nice and clumped up there. We have these 2 DT situated over here. We'll be trying to target fire, but there we go. Overseer is in, and with the DT sitting over here, you're gonna be able to take them out no problem. Where is that additional one? And there we go. That one gets taken out as well. So do we have any more DT in play? Just the one. Not sure where he is though. He must be hiding somewhere. I do not know. No, it looks like that did die. So there we go. Finally take care of all those DT. Obviously, though, DKiLLeR's mining was delayed quite a bit. Now we do have that third expansion coming out right now for DdoRo. I'm not sure if KiLLeR ended up spotting that or not. If his Zergling got killed and he saw the fact that that was happening. Is he going to work on again this third saturated? There we go. Hopefully we are going to see a few Spore Crawlers. We do have one coming through. Where is that Spore Crawler? We got one sitting over here. Oh, that's a Spine Crawler. There's the Spore right over there with that Spine as well. So we should be seeing a Spore over here as well. Oh no, just going to be using the Overseer plus that Spine. Now, it looks like he is aware that that expansion is coming through right now for DdoRo, because we are seeing right now DKiLLeR is mobilizing, working his way right on over to this third expansion that DdoRo has. What are we going to look at? What are we seeing right now? The level 1 upgrade just finished. I believe that was the level 1 upgrade. Pretty positive that's what it was. Yes, it was a level 2 upgrade. Unbelievably. Look at this Roach Hydra. Strong push coming in, and they're going to be taking out at least the 1 gateway. Looks like the second gateway is going to get dropped as well before DdoRo is able to move over with those force fields. He's dropping that force field right now and actually only cut off a few of those Roaches, but killing off all of those gateways. That was actually very, very nice there for DKiLLeR. DKiLLeR got a ton of gateways there. That was absolutely phenomenal in all honesty. Couldn't have gone any better for him, killing off those 3 gateways and then just pushing back. That's a pretty hefty loss there. Now we do have the Robotics Bay coming on through for DdoRo, so he will be working his way up to Colossus. He has spotted the Roach Hydra composition here for KiLLeR. KiLLeR is moving into another expansion, also getting those pathogen glands right now. It's going to allow those infestors to pop out with that much more energy, giving them that much closer fungal growth. And if he does get Neuroparasite as well, well. He'll be that much closer to being able to afford that once those infestors do finish as well. So DdoRo right now looks to be pushing across the map. He is just sitting Stalker Sentry heavy. He's got a couple Zealots there in the mix, and actually right now he is just going for a little bit of vision, getting control of that Xel'Naga tower right now, letting him see whether or not KiLLeR had grabbed that high yield. Also, if any pushes come from KiLLeR, he'll be aware of that as well. We do have right now, again, KiLLeR moving on into his 4th expansion. He has got decent saturation at these 3. Back over here, we can see some good saturation going out for DdoRo, rebuilding that wall off there with those gateways, and doesn't look like he's planning to move on into a 4th anytime soon. We have that Colossus production coming on through Thermal Lance, as well as those weapons level 3 upgrades. So DdoRo getting a lot of upgrades right there, pretty macro heavy. In terms of where KiLLeR is at right now, he's got the level 2 missile coming through, also coming out with the Carapace level 1. He does have that Neuroparasite coming out for those infestors, giving him use of that mind control there. So we'll be interested to see how he ends up utilizing that in battle. He just really needs to be careful about positioning of his infestors, especially since these stalkers do have blink. They will be used exclusively for trying to snipe down those infestors whenever they try to Neuroparasite any of the Colossus or anything like that. KiLLeR losing an Overlord there, 2 blink stalkers. Here comes the push right now. Very Sentry heavy though, allowing him to drop some pretty hefty amounts of force fields, unbelievably there. Blink Stalkers pulling back right now, retreating, and actually lost that Overseer there. We are going to see those Roaches continue to engage. Needs to be careful, though. One big thing is that those Sentries are getting pretty low on energy. We do still have 2 Infestors sitting right there. We got a couple more Roaches back here. Hopefully those come into the fray as well. Got a bunch of Stalkers being warped in right now. Level 3 upgrades just about to finish for DdoRo. KiLLeR really needs to get on top of those upgrades, though, if he wants to stay on par with this. We've got 4 more Infestors coming out. There we go. Neuroparasite is finished. That's going to allow him to take control of those Colossus. But again, the major problem is those Blink Stalkers will be used to snipe out. And KiLLeR is moving for a push right now. Not sure how effective this is going to be. DdoRo looks like he's in a pretty prime position to be able to defend against this push. We do only have these 2 Infestors here, so again, not really sure how effective this will be, especially against those Blink Stalkers. We do right now another expansion coming out for KiLLeR, so he will be moving into his 5th expansion as well. So he's, again, macroing up pretty hard, working on that very strong economy, getting that extra larvae. He does have that hive up right now. He's coming out with the Greater Spire. So with that Greater Spire in play, that's going to allow him to come out with those Broodlords. Another Overlord gets dropped here from those Blink Stalkers. DdoRo sitting with a very, very strong army right now, getting close to that supply cap, but KiLLeR is there as well. Does he have the proper unit composition to deal with this? Lots of Infestors is what he needs to get control of those Colossus and lay Fungal Growth. The biggest thing, though, is if he can get some Fungal Growth on those Stalkers and then take control of those Colossus, that'll stop the Stalkers from being able to blink right into him. There we go. Scouting Overlord, spotting the push from DdoRo right now. So how is KiLLeR going to prepare? I want to see him spread out his units a little bit more. Needs to get those Infestors in a good position. DdoRo bypassing all of the army right now for KiLLeR. We do have some Corruptors in play. This is actually going to help him quite a bit as well against those Colossus, and let's see how this one plays out. Pushing forward, another Overlord gets dropped, and DdoRo getting a vision of the high ground with those Colossus, blinking the Stalkers up, so he's harassing the main while engaging the main arm right now. Blink Stalkers moving down, will be sniping down those Infestors. Infestors need to be so careful. They are dropping some good Fungal Growths. Roaches and Hydras doing what they can. Blink Stalkers forced to push back right now. KiLLeR losing a lot of his army. That Great Spire not yet finished. Another Overlord gets dropped. Blink Stalkers pushing forward again, sniping down those Infestors, and oh no, KiLLeR. This is a very rough spot. He does have 7 Broodlords coming out, as well as 48 Zerglings and some more Roaches. Is this going to be enough to defend against this incredibly hefty push that we've got coming out right now? Where are those Broodlords? Broodlords are sitting right here, so they're going to be getting ready to engage. Now he's obviously going to be losing this expansion. Hasn't lost much in the main, though. There we go, moving on down with a couple of Zerglings, trying to get a little bit of damage done before those Broodlords come into action. Spinecrawlers repositioning themselves over here, rooting right by the army of DdoRo. And here comes the Broodlords. Now again, those Blink Stalkers, though, should be more than enough to get right under and snipe out those Broodlords. KiLLeR's doing what he can. Doesn't look like it's gonna be enough, though. Roaches and Speedlings trying to help, but those Broodlords get shot out of the sky. And KiLLeR getting hit from the other side there. KiLLeR moving in with some more Roaches, trying to snipe down, but it's not gonna be enough. DdoRo winning game number 2, forcing the GG from KiLLeR. KiLLeR attempted to go hatch first this game. However, we did see DdoRo move down, dropping some pylons, which would have allowed him to do some cannon harass at this expansion, and that forced KiLLeR to cancel the hatchery and go pool first. KiLLeR was able to kill off the probe as well as force the cancel of this warping in building as well. And that then led to him dropping his expansion. However, we then saw DdoRo move in with a second probe, drop some cannons, and do a little bit more damage. To make up for the early game setback, KiLLeR moved quickly into his third expansion and then continued to tech up and drone up. DdoRo sticked to 2 bases, went gateway heavy with some level 1 weapons upgrades, and then went for a quick Dark Shrine for some early on Dark Templar harass. DdoRo moved the Dark Templar into all 3 of KiLLeR's bases. He forced the stoppage of mining at a few of them. We can see right there KiLLeR pulling off the line over here. He was forced to pull off the line over here as well. Now KiLLeR bunching up his units was able to come out with an overseer, and it's eventually allowed him to deal with those Dark Templar before they ended up doing too much economic damage. While the Dark Templar harass was taking place, DdoRo moved into his third expansion. However, with a very nice counterattack, KiLLeR was able to take out all 3 of these gateways before DdoRo was able to respond with his units, and then KiLLeR just retreated after dealing that damage. KiLLeR was working his way into Roach Hydra Infestor and then making his way up into Broodlord Tech. However, a strong push came at the 18-minute mark from DdoRo with Blink Stalkers, a few Colossus, and pretty Sentry Heavy as well. Now some Stalkers blinking on the high ground for some main harass, killing off that infestation pit, plus some nice force fields and those Blink Stalkers sniping down those infestors. KiLLeR was not prepared for the strong push. Had he had his Broodlords in play during this push, he would have been better suited, but unfortunately he got hit just a little bit too early and he wasn't able to defend against this, and that's what forced the GG. Alright guys, so this was game number 2 here between DdoRo and KiLLeR. We'll be moving on to game number 3 in just one moment. At the moment, DdoRo is up 2-0 against KiLLeR. As always guys, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.